Hello and welcome back to the History Diaries, where we talk about history things and stuff. Today we're doing a solo episode, so it's just me on the podcast, unfortunately. So I thought, let's do a bit of a catch-up to start off with everything. So I've just come back from New York. I am a jet setter, a high flyer, and it was the most overstimulating experience of my life, but I actually quite liked it, if I'm being honest. So what I've got in the notes is Raising Cane's. So I went with my brother and my mum, and basically we got there, we stayed in Times Square, rookie era, but it is January or February? No, it's January. So it wasn't super busy, but the first thing we did was go inside this Raising Cane's, and it's basically like KFC, but American, and it's not KFC. So we went in and it was just like, there was a DJ like playing Crazy in Love remixes, there was chicken nugget seats, and there was like a merch stand, and I was like, I actually quite like this, even though I've never had Raising Cane's. Like, I was tempted to buy like a t-shirt or a cap with like the chicken nuggets on. I was like, wow, this is crazy. And they were like $40 each. So we had one of those, and then my brother had this what's it called, like not a milkshake, like a slushy thing, and it was bright pink, and he was like, oh, I've seen this on TikTok, it'll be really good. And then he had some, and then as we were walking back to the hotel, he was like, Katie, I feel a bit spacey, I don't know what I'm gonna do. But he continued to drink it, and we both knew it's because it's got loads of E numbers in it. So he was sick as soon as we got back to the room, because he felt dizzy and spacey, and then he continued to drink it. So that kind of sums up America, really. I feel like I don't even need to say anything else, but I will. But it was just, the first day I had this like really nice scarf that I use in every Instagram picture because it goes with my coat. And the first day I was taking pictures of myself on the subway because I was being vain, like on like a proper camera of me like pausing like and holding on to like the rails and stuff. And I didn't care because no one gives a shit in New York. And then I lost my scarf. I like left it on the train, and I watched the doors like close, and that was a really sad time. But what else did we do? We went to the friend's apartment and we looked outside, but it was like Baltic. It was so fucking cold. So we were like, okay, that's nice. And then we walked back. What else? We just kind of fannied about, really. I went to see like a few Broadway shows, but I feel like there's so much to do. Like, I just don't know what to do. Oh, we went on a boat. So my mum said she said, Katie, the only thing I want to do in New York is go on a boat ride, like around the river or whatever. So we got on at like Wall Street, and it was just this like shitty little boat. And as soon as we got on the boat, my mum said, I don't actually like boats because I went on one in Tenerife and I didn't like it, and it makes me feel like I died in a past life on a boat. And I was like, you've literally said, like, you've harped on for 3 days about the only thing you want to do is go on a boat ride. So you obviously got like a downstairs bit, and there's like this musty window that you can't see shit from. And I was like, Mom, do you not want to go the top deck so you're like outside and you can see like the Statue of Liberty? And she was like, no, because I don't like boats. So she just sat there and looked out the window for about an hour. And then me and Matthew went up on the deck and we saw the Statue of Liberty, and it was quite small, but we were far away. And then there was an IKEA like across the river, in a bridge and stuff. So it was quite underwhelming. Like, I think it's because when you expect to see the Statue of Liberty, it's like this big, cool, like massive thing, and then there's just like a random IKEA next to it. So that was really good. And my highlight, not to flex, I was on Fifth Avenue and I was determined to go on a Barnes and Noble because I was like, I have to make this about me somehow. And basically it's like the American Waterstones, and I found my book on Fifth Avenue in Barnes and Noble. It was like one copy tucked away like under the stairs, and I was like, do you know what, a flex is a flex. So I signed it, and the guy who worked in Barnes & Noble gave me a golden pen, so I felt really special, and he pretended to know what the book was. He was like, oh yeah, I've seen this before. I was like, no you haven't, that's okay, that's fine. So I signed that. I made my mum and brother take loads of pictures of me signing it, then posing with it, then putting it back, and then we did that, so that was really good. And then what else did we do? Went to a bakery, Magnolia Bakery. Cupcakes were a bit underwhelming, I can't lie. But that was it. So I feel like I've sort of covered New York. And also, I've bought some glasses. They were $15.99 off ASOS. This isn't an ad. And they just look a bit... shit because I thought like, oh, I kind of like want some glasses like for attention. So I've bought them in the blue light glasses, but I feel like I look like a nonce from the 70s or something. But my mum said I looked like Olivia Attwood because she has the big chunky glasses, but I'm embarrassed to wear them and I can see myself on the screen. No, they look shit. She doesn't wear these glasses. Thank you. But as soon as I put them on, I was like, oh, it's like giving 1970s, but not in a good way. But I've sort of like locked in with them. I don't need them. It's just for the blue light. But then I looked on Specsavers and they said that the blue light thing just isn't real and people have made it up. So that was £50 and £4 delivery. So I feel like I've wasted my money there, but I feel they give me an edge. No, don't. I had circle ones before, but I feel like these are like, I don't know, got a bit more pizzazz, but I'm going to take them off because I'm actually embarrassed now. But I've like soft launched them, so I feel like if I keep wearing them, people will get used to me wearing them. So we're going to talk about Shakespeare being a bit of a weirdo. Shakespeare's legacy is good literature and being the bane of every GCSE English kid's lives. So let's get into it. So he got married in November in 1582. So basically he is 18, fresh out of doing Latin homework, and he meets this lass called Anne Hathaway. Not the one who was in Devil Wears Prada, this other Anne Hathaway, and she's 26. So she's getting on a bit. She's a bit older, she's a bit wiser. She's got a cupboard full of retinol ready to go. And they get married. But the tea is, she's already pregnant. She's already up the duff. So 6 months later, she gives birth to someone, well, not to someone, to a girl called Susanna. And she's born 6 months later. And what surprises me the most is, like, if I imagine a Susanna, I imagine like a 40-year-old woman with a mortgage. So she must have been like this miracle baby that came out like fully formed as an adult. But I don't know, like, is Susanna like is that like a modern, no, like I don't know any kids called Susanna. It's like calling your son like Gary or something. So basically she had a kid and then he dies. Well, he doesn't, like there's a few years that goes past. So he dies in 1616 and he was dead. Everyone was like, oh, that's like really sad and stuff. And he basically left his wife the second best bed. It's like, for me, like the second best bed is like the ones that you pull out, like you've got from IKEA, and it's got like a bit of a shitty mattress and you like pull it out and it's like a sofa bed. So she got given that in the will and he was like, be grateful. But the reality of that is the best bed in like houses during that time would have been the guest bed because they would have wanted to like flex to the guests. But like if I had a house, I would personally not do that. I think it's because I'm quite selfish. So I would give myself the best bed because I am there the most. The second best was the marital bed. So it does sound a bit shitty if you've got a will and you're like, I'll give you the second best bed. So to sum that up, his legacy is writing about 13-year-olds trying to get pumped by the family rivals. Another legacy of his is Sonnet 130, 130, where he talks about having a mistress who has manky breath and who also has wiry hair. And he also says that our breasts are done. So like he says like if snow is white then your breasts are done, and that means like your tits are like really like a manky colour, that's probably not like the academic way of describing that, but you get it. And then last but not least, he gifts her the bed that they probably did like missionary in for a couple of minutes. So that's quite nice. I feel like that's great. And then there's another one where we ask the question, was he gay or was he normal? What was he? So basically Shakespeare wrote 154 sonnets and 126 of them are love poems addressed to a young man, often called the fair youth. Okay, so these are like full on like yearning poems. He's yearning for this man. So he might have been a little bit girly pops. So he calls him my dear love. He says he's at war with time for love for you. If someone wrote me that, I'd actually like cringe out so much. Shall I compare these to a summer's day? That's a famous one. Like I knew that one off the bat actually. And in Sonnet 20, he calls him my master mistress of my passion. Oh, nah. I know he's trying to be like poetic and because it's poems and sonnets and stuff, but like, just, I don't know, like, I don't know, maybe we've lost like romance in this era, but like if I got sent that, I'd like block someone and I'd be like, that's actually embarrassing, like go outside. But anyway, the identity of this man, potential lover, is always debated. So the top suspects are a man called Henry, last name, wow, Wirotha Sicily. Nah, let's firm it. Wirotha Sicily. I'm going to firm it. Megan wanted to look it up. I said no. I said, I know these things. He is the Earl of Southampton. And also it could be William Herbert, the Earl of Pembroke. So both are titled, a little bit posh, maybe handsome for the standards of the day. Maybe they had a full set of teeth, maybe only one or two missing. And they could be sonnet worthy, who knows. So yeah, they probably didn't include this in the Hamnet film. So I feel like those sonnets, especially the Manky Breath sonnet, was probably not included in that film, sadly. He rushed into marriage with an older woman who's wiser woman. Then he ghosted his wife emotionally in his will, which, you know, these things happen. And then he wrote loads of sexy love poetry, probably about another man. So do you know what? He's not the worst person. I don't think that's even bad. Like, Megan's nodding. I don't think that's bad. I don't think that's bad at all compared to the next segment. We're going to do a deep dive of someone who is probably a lot worse than Shakespeare, because what did Shakespeare do? All he did was give his wife a bed. Maybe she needed somewhere to sleep. And this is about the murder of Belle Elmore. And there's a really good book on this by Hallie Rubenholtz, who wrote The Five, about Jack the Ripper. And she wrote The Covent Garden Lady. So if you have seen Harlots, it's based on that book. So that is the same author, and she's amazing. I love her very much. I've met her once. She doesn't know who I am. Anyway, so this is the... people have really long names in history. I actually can't be asked. So this is the Hawley Harvey Crippen case. And again, on my notes, I was like, he sounds like a Durham student. Like, that's an average Durham student name. So it's very like Victorian, serious, prestigious name. So he is basically a man that lied, and he's not very good at lying. And then he tried to like firm it, and he committed too hard. But I don't want to give any spoilers because it's a deep dive. Okay. So the disappearance. Okay, I feel like I'm reading this is like a bedtime story, but it's not a really nice bedtime story. But again, so on the 31st of January 1910, Cora Turner disappears after a party at the Crippen house on Hilldrop Crescent. So basically, she is Dr. Crippen's wife. She's gone. Where is she gone? Well, I'll tell you that. So Crippen's like, oh, she's gone back to America. She actually really loved the Raising Cane's like drinks, and even though it had loads of E numbers in and she probably was sick, she actually really liked it, so she's gone back to America. And then he says she's probably died because of all the E numbers and stuff. That's really sad. But she's been cremated in California. Is what it is. Am I going to go see her? No, because it's too far away, and I'm a doctor in London. But I'm also like really, really sad about that. So everyone, straight away, the story's doing the laps. Everyone's like, oh my God, that's really sad. Are you really upset about that? And he's like, yeah, I'm so upset that my mistress is going to move in to look after me, and she's probably going to wear Cora's clothes and jewelry just to make sure the clothes are, you know, kept safe and warm and used and stuff. So we can really like cherish her memory by doing that and replacing her straight away. And this mistress is, you know, she's called Ethel Leneve or Leneve. Again, I can't pronounce these names. Everyone's got really long names. So she moves into the house, and the friends, Cora's friends, are like, that's taking the piss a bit, like not being funny. So the police don't get involved because of Crippen. They get involved because Cora's mates like won't let it slide. They're like, this is really sus. Like, how can you get over this woman like straight away? So one of her mates, Cora's mates, is this like, she's like a Welsh strong woman, and she's called Kate Vulcana Williams. And she says to the police, something is off. It's not cushy. I'm not happy with this. And then she's got another friend, like Cora, she's got friends, like that's crazy. Her actress friend called Lil Hawthorne, and when I read this, I was like, is she a rapper? No, she's just called Lil. I'm guessing it's short for like Lillian. But as soon as I saw that, I was like, And her husband, so Little Hawthorne, not the rapper, and her husband pushed Scotland Yard to take it seriously. Like, come on. So Crippen explains himself. The police go around and they're like, look, what's happened to your lass? Not the current one, the ex one. And he's like, do you know what? Like, Cora actually ran off with a lover, and I'm actually really embarrassed by that because she said I was like shit crack, and he's like ran off with someone else, so I made up that she's died. And he tells this story to a guy called Walter Dew. So basically Walter Dew believes him. They search the house, they find nothing, and they're like, it's fine, like we've looked in the cupboards, we've looked under the bed, we've looked in the wardrobes. You know what? Like, I think we believe you, because I think that story's actually really good. Like, if your wife has run off with someone, just say she's died. Do you know what I mean? Like, and say she's been cremated, and like get everyone really upset. And then it's also really not suspicious that she stopped writing letters to everyone. Like that's actually really good. And you're a doctor, so like we believe you in that. So this is where everyone's like, in like now they're like, why don't you just check under the floorboards? But they've checked in the wardrobe and there's nothing in the wardrobe, so it's fine. So they start to panic a little bit, Crippen and his little tart on the side, Leneve. They assume the police know more than what they do, and then they flee. But again, because they're shit at lying or disguising themselves, I feel like, because it's pretty, it's not a spoiler to say that he obviously murdered her. So I feel like they should have planned it out a bit more, because what they did is they fucked off and they got in these disguises, and his mistress woman put this like fake mustache on, and she pretended to be a boy, and they're on this ship. They go from London to Brussels to Antwerp on the SS Montrose. And everyone's like, this is really class. Like, no one's going to know that I've got a fake mustache on or whatever. So Leneve is disguised as a boy. The police search the house again and again. And for the fourth time, they find this brick floor in the basement and they lift it up. And they find, I feel like I have to be a little like dramatic. They find a torso. Like not a head, not a limb, just like the main bit, like the torso. And again, like hindsight, why the fuck would you hide a torso in the house? This is like, again, not to, it's like, in Desperate Housewives, I know this has nothing to do with Desperate Housewives, but it's my favourite programme. And basically in the season 1, what happens is they have this like body underneath the pool, and then they dig it up from the pool and then put it in the river. But I think like even the plot on Desperate Housewives is a lot better than this in real life plot, because at least when they hid the body, it was underneath a concrete like pool floor, and they fucked up by bringing it up again and putting it in a river where the police found it straight away. But if you're going to do that, like put concrete on it, or just don't hide it in your house, like go to someone else's house and then not put the blame on them. But if you're hiding like dead bodies in your house, it's a bit like, come on, wise up. Anyway, I digress. Home Office analyst William Wilcox finds this sedative poison, and Cora is identified by this like piece of like abnormal skin. So basically she had a surgery and there was a scar like where Cora's scar would have been, and they're like, we're going to put 2 and 2 together, and it's basically Cora. But even at the time, like people questioned it because like skin scars aren't unique. There was no DNA evidence at the time. The rest of the body was missing. God knows what they did with the rest of the body. And if you flee, like move the torso, like put it in the park, put it in a river. Not to tell people how to murder anyone, because that's bad and stuff. So the identification relied on a lot of assumption and context. But it's pretty obvious, like, let's be real. So basically, the ship's captain, who is called Henry George Kendall, everyone has like 5 names for the name. He clocks them instantly, and he's basically sends this wireless message over to the police, and he says, it's him. That mustache is fake. Why has that little boy got a C-cut bra on? Like, I don't understand. And then they get arrested. And Inspector Dew, he boards a faster ship. It's like, the chase bit in like a spy fit or like a action film. I don't really watch them, but like there's always a chase scene. He boards the fastest ship. And you can imagine like these ships aren't even that fast. It's probably like going like 2 miles an hour. So gets to Canada first. He boards the Montrose as disguised as a pilot. And he says, "Good morning, Dr. Crippen. Do you know me?" And Crippen is like, "Thank fuck. I was so stressed to shit. Like I couldn't stand it anymore." He didn't say those words. He said, "Thank God it's over. I couldn't stand it anymore." Which is probably not the response of an innocent man, question mark. So they bring them home. He brings him home. So Crippen and side woman, they are arrested, shipped back to Britain with the prison wardresses from Holloway. The railway company even gets like thanked for helping out. So like everyone gets thanked. It's like happy days in the end, apart from the woman that got murdered and Crippen, who didn't really do his job properly because he had, he couldn't even murder her properly. But like, at least she got her justice, sort of, kind of. I don't know, I'm glad he got locked up because, like, again, like, I think the moral of the story is, why couldn't he just divorce her? Come on. Why couldn't he just divorce her? Like, you don't have to go to these extremes. So I feel like they both deserved prison, especially, like, if your man murdered his ex-wife and he's like, "Just come live with me. Like, I'd never do that to you," when you start getting wrinkly and annoying. And then he's like, "Just wear my dead woman's clothes." Like, would that not click in her head that it's probably like not the best if he's got a history of like murdering women? So again, I feel like it's a life lesson for us all. Also, what is quite interesting is he was the first person to be captured and caught through wireless telegraphy, which is basically the police sending him a little text message on the ship being like, no, they were like texting each other being like, "I think it's him." And he was like, "Yeah, sound, that's fine. Let's go on a not as slow, but still quite slow little ship thing, and let's bring him to justice." And they did that. So it's nice that he didn't get away with it in the end, because I feel like there's probably so many stories like that, probably not as intense as that, or maybe that, again, under the radar, because I feel like because he was a doctor, I feel people were so shocked by that because they were like, how can some middle class, like, intellectual man be capable of doing such heinous things? That's what the povos do. So I feel like that's probably why it got so much, again, because they were prominent people. But I feel like so many stories would have happened, similar vibes, that have just completely been forgotten about in history. So it's nice that one of them was brought to justice, not to get all like, Anyway, so let's talk about sewing goat's testicles to men to fix their sex life. So go on a bit of a 180 here. So why did men in the 1920s sew goat's testicles to their bollocks to improve their sex life? That is such a good question. Let me try and answer that. So in the 1920s and 30s, there was another doctor. I think we're having like a bitch about shitty doctors today. So Dr. Brinkley made himself rich by offering a cure for a boner postponer, which is erectile dysfunction. I thought of that myself. Like, how good is that? Yeah. So the cure was sewing goat's testicles into men physically. So they didn't connect, they didn't do anything, but it was thought that the body absorbed into them. And this cost about $750, which is basically, in today's money, like you could have just gone on holiday. They could have got like a hair transplant or like a bit of Viagra. I don't really know. So how this worked at all is that it didn't. Brinkley, he wasn't qualified. He basically half-arsed, did some shitty medical degree, got 3/4 of the way through. And he was like, "Do you know what? I've done the uni life. I've done the socials. Sort of done half a dissertation. Let's just lock in and make loads of money." Goat's testicles, they sound pretty funky fresh. So, yeah, he wasn't qualified, but what he did have was charisma, confidence, and he was very good at saying things very loudly. So he opened up a massive clinic in Kansas. He paid decent wages, and during the 1918 flu pandemic, he actually did help people a lot. So he did nurse people back to health. So the locals were like, "Well, he saved me auntie. I'm going to let him near my bollocks. That's fine." And one of his first patients later did have a baby. Was it because of the goat's glands? No, come on, of course it wasn't. But Dr. Brinkley was like, yeah, it's clearly because of this. So suddenly he's advertising goat's testicles as a cure for impotence, dementia, and flatulence. I feel like, again, like when you see all these adverts from the olden days, they just have these like cure alls for everything. And they're like, we're not going to tell you what ingredients this is. Like, you know, when you see like cough medicines and cough syrups from the like Victorian era, or like, again, like this is the 1920s. That was only 100 years ago. They just make up such shit. Thank God for is it the Advertising Standards Agency? Nod. Yeah. Big up. Bless up. So basically people got infections, shock horror, people died, and he was, you know, he thought of himself as a bit of a legend and he got drunk all the time, and that's fine. But when you're operating on people, it's probably not. So I feel like it went a bit wrong. And the American Medical Association eventually clocked him, and they were like, I don't think this is okay. I don't think this is medicine. Don't know where you got this idea from. Here we are. So that took a while. He was sued repeatedly. He lost his medical license, and eventually he died because he had no money left. And the scary thing was he was almost going to be the governor of Kansas. Yeah, so I feel like the bottom line is if you lock in and you say things with passion, then you're pretty sound to do like quite a lot of things in life and get away with quite a lot. But I feel like that is the wrong message to take away from that section. I feel like the message is like, don't sew goat's testicles on yourself. So I'm not a scientist, but I can tell you that for free. Also, another fun fact, he was made a millionaire from these procedures, and he went on to have the biggest radio station in Mexico, which is quite random, but I'm guessing he was on like some health influencer journey. And another takeaway is this is probably why we should regulate who has microphones. And yeah, even though I have one, so don't include me on that one. Anyway, so what we've learned today, lots of things about goats, about murder, about don't hide torsos in your house because you'll probably get caught. And Shakespeare, he wrote a lot and he fancied older women, and that I got glasses, square ones for the listeners at home. So on that note, these are so bad. I need to actually clean them. I can't see shit with this. Anyway, I'm going to say goodbye now. I hope you have learned things. Comment what you found the most fun. If it isn't overwhelmingly the goat's glands, I will be really sad. If there's any other facts, because I love finding out like random niche shit like that. Anything else, like let me know, and maybe I'll steal it and put it in the pod and take credit for it. No, I won't. But yeah, thank you so much for listening. You can follow us at History Diaries Pod on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, yes. And we are posting every Thursday at 5. Bye.